So hello everyone who's watching. My name is Max Remmel. I'm currently studying Creative Media and Game Technologies at the Hanze University of Applied Science. And I'm currently in my third year doing my internship at Rheinmetall, where I produce assets for mainly houses for warship and tank simulation. I'm gonna show you my workflow in this video, and I'm gonna cover up different techniques basically, and just the general structure from where I start and where do I finish. And I hope you enjoy. One thing that I'm gonna note in the beginning is it's gonna be a low poly workflow, meaning that I will try to reduce the word count to as few as possible. Which might be helpful for environment creations and assets that are, basically in the distance. But obviously everything that I'm going to show you in this video is going to be usable for your own project as well. And for this video, I'm going to focus on creating a gardening house that I searched out. And yeah, I'm just going to cover up the different things that I'm doing. So as you can see, I created like a simple structure here, just L shape, just so that we have some structure in the building. And it's just a gardening house, so what can I say? For the roof, what I do is I select the edges that are basically where I want the area to go steeper, and I basically press M and merge the vertices on the corners in the center. Basically, if I have the vertice select mode on, as you can see, I have the left and the right one selected, and I press M to combine them at the center. For example, for this area here, what I would do is I would just select every vertice here and merge it at the center, so that we have a nice flat area. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these edges here. You can do that by pressing Ctrl X, then they'll be gone. And I'm going to merge these ones, these two vertices on the side at the center here or at the edge. So for example, now for the roof, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude the roof a bit to the on the Z axis, and basically select the area around here. And now what we would usually do is extrude it, but as you see, when I extrude it, it always takes the median basically from all the faces and extrudes them into one direction, which we don't want. So what we do is we press Alt E, and we have this basically this little toolbox here where we can choose what we want to do, and we select extrude faces along normals. So basically what this means is that every face that you have selected will be extruded on the axis that it's facing. Basically these faces here will extrude on the y-axis, and these faces here will extrude on the x-axis. So what we do is we select the faces and we basically scale them to 0. For example, when we look at this face, so what we do is we press S and we press Y in this manner because it's on the y-axis, and we press 0, and so it gets basically flat. And we do that with every face around. And for example, now we have like a gardening house with only 39 vertices. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some windows. They don't have to be a part of the object itself, because what we're going to do later on is we're going to make an ID mask. I'm going to explain that in a bit. And with this help is, what this does is basically we don't have to create the objects themselves and put them on the house, but we can use normal map baking to basically bake the information of the different windows onto the house to save vertices. And it basically allows you to have more details without having to create more topology, which is nice. And what I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to create a cube, and I'm going to change the dimensions of it, and I'm going to set in some loop cuts for the frame. And with Ctrl B you can bevel different loop cuts. And now we select the front face, we invert it a bit, and we create the windows here. Select the faces, which will be glass later on. And we have this. Obviously, we can also put on gravity, just helps a bit to understand where the topology is going and how the lines are flowing. And well, we put this onto the house and we're gonna create some more windows. It does, I mean, for now it doesn't have to like make sense. Yeah. Next up, of course, a door frame or a door itself. Without it wouldn't make that much sense. And everything is basically in one scale. Just like that. Now we have to obviously unwrap it. And for this task, you can, most of the times when it comes to houses that they are simply built, you can just run a line up here, put another seam down here, and put one down here, and we just select all of the loop cuts here. I mean, theoretically you could do it without all of the loop cuts, but it's just easier and makes it a bit faster to work. And well, we select, of course, all of the cuts around here. And what we do now is we apply the scale. What we do now is when we unwrap, at least when it comes to houses, it's pretty good to unwrap by conformal. And what we do next is we duplicate the house now, or first we call it, let's call it house_low. And now to the important part, when we do our low poly, or when we want to bake our high poly, we have to have the same name as our object that we want to bake on, and with the difference that, for example, when our house is called house low, we call it house_high, just so that we can tell Substance Painter later on that we only want the information that's basically on this object onto the low poly version of it. So what we do now is, when it comes to the windows, we're going to create a new material with a blender. We call it, for example, frame ID, and let's say we make it orange. So it's important for this that you take bright colors. So basically everything on the color wheel that's close to the edge, it works perfectly, because you want many different colors that are different, so that you can later on have different choices when it comes to the ID map. So let's say we also want information for the glasses. So what we do is we do ID texture for the glass, we do it blue, and now we select the faces in which the glass should be, and we assign them to the texture. So now we have basically this object with two textures, and within Substance Painter we can then choose with the color selection tool, for example, we can choose blue areas, and we can basically tell Substance Painter I want a different texture in there than the orange ones. And it just makes working a lot easier, because you don't have to select face by face on within Substance Painter, or create black masks by using rectangle alphas or whatever. So it just saves a lot of time. We do the same with the other windows. So all of them get the frame ID, and all of them will get the glass ID. And now for the door, for example, let's say, not glass, let's say we take the frame ID again, and we create another ID texture that we call door ID, and we're gonna, let's say, make it green and assign the part of the door to it. So let's get to the normal regular house. We're gonna give it also ID maps, and we're gonna call the first, let's say, facade ID, and we're gonna give it the color pink, and we create a last ID map that we name roof_ID, and in there we can then say, for example, I don't know, light blue. Red would work as well, we go with red. Why not? And well, select the roof, and well, we assign it. So what we do now is we're gonna combine everything to the house high version, and then when you export it as an FBX, you export the low version and the high version, of course, separately to make it. But when you export it, you should click on selected objects only, so that you don't have any other objects ruining your export. So this would be it for this video. I'm gonna upload a second one where I show the second part of the workflow in Substance Painter, and I'm gonna show basically why we did this and why we created the windows this way and not basically combine them into the workflow.